Ba mine Rab Zeira Merabasi. Rab Zeira comes to Rab Asi with a question. He wants to know, what's the halacha in a mavli in which there is no eruv done? What's the halacha? Are we allowed to carry within that mavli, even though there's no eruv? Now, why would we be able to? So he wants to know, can we compare it to a chutzner? And in a chutzner we know that if there is no eruv, and the item is in the chutzner before Shabbos comes in, then we're allowed to carry within that chutzner itself, from one end of the chutzner to the other end of the chutzner. So do we say the same in a mavoi, that we can carry in the mavoi from one end to the other end, if the item had been there before Shabbos, even though there is no eruv? Or perhaps we cannot compare it to a chutzner, and he provides two reasons for why we shouldn't be able to compare it to a chutzner. Reason number one why we'd not be able to compare it is because the chutzner, by definition, has 4 mechitos, 4 walls, and the mavi only has 3. So that would be reason number one why we shouldn't be able to compare it. Or perhaps alternatively, because a chutzner has diirin, has people, inhabitants, people that live in it, whereas a mavi does not have. So this was this question: can we or can we not compare it to a chutzner, and therefore would we be able to carry in the mavi or not? Rav Asi was quiet and did not answer. Basically, it seemed that he didn't know the answer to the question. Now, another time, Rab Zeira comes to the yeshiva of Rav Asi, and he hears Rav Asi giving a shir, and in the shir he's saying that Rab Shimon ben Lakish once said in the name of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, a story, that one time there was a bris about to happen in the town, and the bris was set for Shabbos, and they forgot to bring the knife before Shabbos, and they brought it on Shabbos. And he says that this matter that they brought it on Shabbos was problematic for the Chachamim. They were upset about this, because how could the city have acted in accordance with Rabbi Eliezer and set aside the Chachamim? And they were upset because the people acted not in accordance with them, but rather in accordance with Rabbi Eliezer. And we have two issues with that. One, Rabbi Eliezer was Shamuti, excommunicated, as Rashi interprets, or as Tosfos interprets Shamuti, that he was of Beis Shammai, and we don't follow Beis Shammai. And the second reason why they were upset is because, well, we know there's a rule: Yachid v'Rabim halacha karabim. You have to follow the majority, and the Chacham are the majority. So then came Rabbi Oshia, and he explained the actions of the people in the story. He said that he asked Rabbi Yehuda HaGoiz, Rabbi Yehuda the Moil, and Rabbi Yehuda says, "I'll tell you what happened in this story. They weren't carrying the knife in a Rosh Hashanah. They were carrying it in a mavi which did not have an eruv. And they brought it from one end of the mavi to the other end of the mavi. And as such, even the Chachamim would agree." Now, Rav Zeira hears all of this from Rav Asi, and he now realizes that he has an answer to his original question, whether you're allowed to carry in a mavi, within the mavi, when there's no eruv. Because Rav Oshia had just said that even the Chachamim would agree, the Chachamim should not be upset, because we were dealing with a mavi and carrying within the mavi. So he turns to Rav Asi, who had just said this, and he says, "Hey, is it your opinion that in a mavi where there's no eruv, you're allowed to carry within that mavi?" And Rav Asi says, "Yes, that's correct." So he says, "Well, actually, I once asked you this very question, and you didn't tell me the answer then. Perhaps it's because in the flow of your learning, your tradition, the answer came running back to you. In other words, you didn't remember before, but then all of a sudden, while you're saying this statement, you recalled the Rav Shaya's explanation, and now you know the answer." And Rav Asi answered him, "Yes, indeed, that is the case, that because of the flow of my learning, the tradition came running back to me, and now I know the answer."